Oh, hello there. My name is Brandon, and today we'll be covering some of the rich history of not only NASCAR itself, but the man that made NASCAR what it is today. So, if you're a big NASCAR fan, just an enthusiast, or you just want to learn something new, hop in, buckle up, and let's hit the accelerator. Hello. If you are here, then odds are you have heard of NASCAR. For some of the older fans, they know this man, Dale Earnhardt. Back in February of 2001, we lost this man. Here is NASCAR 20 years later.
Stock car racing. NASCAR's Winston Cup. There's nothing quite like it on the international sports scene. The best way to document the evolution of the most popular form of motorsports is to start from the beginning with the dream of William Henry Getty France. Big Bill, the founding father of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, NASCAR.
On February 21st, 1984, the National Association for Stock Car Racing, or NASCAR as it would widely become known as, would officially be incorporated. NASCAR would go on to become one of America's best spectator sports, as well as a multi-billion-dollar industry. But in the days before this, racers would race in places like Daytona Beach, Florida, in unorganized and unsanctioned events, which in some cases, they would not receive the winnings they so rightfully deserved. The driving force behind the establishment would be a man known as William Bill France Sr. William France was a mechanic and auto repair shop owner from Washington, D.C., who would move to the Daytona Beach area in the mid-1930s. The Daytona area was a gathering spot for racing enthusiasts, and France became involved in racing cars and promoting races. NASCAR would hold its first strictly stock car race on June 19, 1949, at the Charlotte Speedway in North Carolina. Early on in NASCAR's history, competitors drove the same types of cars that people could find in the streets at the time, like the Oldsmobiles with minimal modifications, unlike today's cars, which are heavily modified. In 1972, however, William France Jr. would take over as president of NASCAR from William France Sr. Over the next 3 decades, he would be instrumental in transforming NASCAR from a regional sport, popular primarily in the southeastern United States, into one with a fan base worldwide. NASCAR today, however, is not the same as they were in the past, sadly. To many, the so-called golden age of NASCAR has ended at one of many points in its long history. Some might say the golden age of NASCAR ended when NASCAR introduced the chase on January 21st, 2004, which was a playoff system used exclusively in the NASCAR Cup Series until 2015. The answer to this question varies depending on who you ask, but if one digs deep enough, one might find that some might say it died with the death of one man known as Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator.
He's the Intimidator. You know, when he's at his best, watch out.
He's a dirty, rotten scoundrel.
Dale Earnhardt is bad to the bone.
He's not a guy that you want to have on your bumper here at Talladega.
Dale Earnhardt, a man that a video like this can't possibly do justice to, was born on April 29, 1951, and was an American stock car racer from the years 1975 to 2001. Like his father, Ralph Earnhardt, he would want to become a stock car racer, but if his father had his way, however, Dale would probably have some desk job or some other job he'd most likely would have hated. If he had, however, he'd probably still be alive and with us today. But as most of us know, that's not what happened. He'd go against what his father's wishes were, and in the process of doing so, become one of the best races the sport would ever have seen. Earnhardt would begin his career in 1975 by starting in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, making his race debut at Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina. Unofficially, however, he would have made his Grand National debut in 1974. Invitational exhibition race at Metrolina Speedway. Dale would finish 22nd in the race, oddly enough just one car ahead of his future owner, Richard Childress. Throughout the years of 1979 to 1980, Dale, under the owner of Rod Osterland Racing, would go on to win the Rookie of the Year honors along with his first Winston Cup win, being the third driver to do so in NASCAR history. 16 races into 1981, however, Rod Osterland would suddenly sell the team to the dismay of Dale to an entrepreneur from Kentucky named Jim Stancy. He would leave the team after just 4 races, though, due to bad chemistry, and would finish 7th in the points standing while driving Pontiacs for Richard Childress Racing. In 1984, after bouncing from owner to owner, such as Jim Stancy and Bud Moore, on top of struggling to win races, he would stay with Richard Childress in the number 3 car for the rest of his racing career. His career would start to bounce back following joining Richard Childress and mark his finest era. Dale would win 2 more Winston Cups in both 1984 and 1987, having a total of 11 wins and 21 top 5s in 1987. Wrangler Jeans would drop their sponsor on Dale and get GM Goodwrench as a sponsor instead, resulting in the color change from blue and yellow to the black that we all associate him with now. During the 1990 season, Dale Earnhardt would come close to winning his first Daytona 500, leading 155 out of 200 laps along with a 40-second lead. Earnhardt would be leading Derek Cope on the final lap. However, Earnhardt would run over a piece of metal later, discovered to be a bell housing on turn 4. The metal would cut down a tire and allow Cope to finish and win the race, while Earnhardt finished in 5th. As a result, the team would hang the tire in the shop as a reminder of just how close they were to winning the Daytona 500. Earnhardt would have his second career low 12th in 1992, with his only victory being in Charlotte in the Coca-Cola 600, ending the Ford's Team 13 race win streak. In 1993, however, Earnhardt again would come close to winning Daytona, but would lose due to a last lap pass by Dale Jarrett, but would go on to win the Winston Cup for the 6th time in his career.
As Earnhardt has won the 1993 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship.
At season's end, at the Hooters 500 in Atlanta, the race winner Wallace and Earnhardt would run a dual polished victory lap together with flags of the number 28 and number 7 flags in commemorating Davey Allison and Alan Kulwicki, who both died in separate plane crashes during the season. During the 1994 season, Dale Earnhardt would do something that many would think to be unthinkable. He would achieve his 7th Winston Cup championship, tying with Richard Petty, shattering what was once considered impossible to do just a few short years ago. In 1995, 2 things would happen. One would be yet another loss in Daytona, eluding Earnhardt yet again as the race Dale just cannot win. The second being that GM Goodwrench would change its name to Chevrolet Monte Carlos after Dale's 34-point loss to Jeff Gordon in the championship. In 1996, the Earnhardt bar would be created. In short, it's a metal bar to reinforce the roof that's located at the center of the windshield. The Earnhardt bar was first introduced after a crash first started by Ernie Irvin, who would lose control of his number 28 car, made contact with number 4 Sterling Marlin. that would in turn hit Earnhardt, causing him to hit the wall, flipping at almost 200 miles per hour, then slipping into traffic. The damage would be mainly to the roof and windshield. Along with this and a similar accident that would cause the death of Russell Phillips is why the Earnhardt bar exists. He would hit a low point in his career when he would black out at the Mountain Dew Southern 500, causing him to crash. It would not help that he would be taken out of contention at the Daytona 500 with 10 laps to go when he got into a crash, sending his car upside down in the back screech of the race.
The most anticipated moment in racing. If John Elway can win the Super Bowl, Dale Earnhardt said he could win the Daytona 500, and if he comes around under caution to complete this final lap, the taste of long-awaited victory will be his. Checkered flag, Dale Earnhardt.
On February 15th, 1998, after 20 years of trying, 19 previous attempts at this track with no luck, Dale Earnhardt would finally win the Daytona 500. After the victory, Dale would celebrate by driving his car in the grass into the shape of a 3, and would later speak and say,
"For all them race fans and all them people have been saying, Dale, this is your year. Dale, this is your year." And boy, a lot of them said it this year, all the way from Mr. France all the way down to Todd Parrott and all the guys on the team. The Daytona 500 is ours. We've won it, we've won it, we've won it.
Before the 1999 season would begin, there were rumors of Earnhardt's retirement, especially with Dale Jr.'s Winston Cup debut. He would, however, continue through the 1999 season. Dale Earnhardt's son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., would start racing during the 1999 season, starting his career at the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte. The closest Dale Sr. would get to racing was family. In a way, you could say this changed Dale Sr. He would start to race with more than just himself, as he got to do the one thing he never got to do with his father. Dale Earnhardt Sr. would even show signs of a spark during a race in Michigan where he would nearly win his first non-restrictor plate track win since 1996. Dale would even get his first short track race win since 1995 in Martinsville in quite the controversial way that would result in a sea of boos from fans in the stands with less than flattering gestures. With less than 15 laps to go, then leader Terry Labonte would get hit behind by Darrell Waltrip. His spin would put Earnhardt in the lead with 5 laps to go, a 5-car lead over Labonte. Labonte, however, would be using fresher tires than Dale, giving him the edge over Dale, who was using old tires at this point in the race. Labonte would catch Earnhardt and even pass him on the white flag. But Earnhardt would bump him, causing him to spin, allowing Earnhardt to collect the win. Earnhardt would finish 7th on the year. Dale Earnhardt's 2000 season would see a few things of note, 2 of which were very exciting wins. First being he'd finally get neck surgery to correct a lingering injury from the 1996 crash at Talladega. Speaking of Talladega, he would gain 17 positions in the last 4 laps to win his 10th win at the track, along with his first No Bull $1 million bonus. On top of this, he would also outbeat Bobby Labonte by a time of 0.01 seconds to win in Atlanta. You probably already know what's coming next. For those who don't watch NASCAR, this was probably the only thing you knew about the Man in Black coming into this video.
They go back to turn one for the final time.
We'll soon find out. Michael Waltrip doing everything he can to hold on to the race lead. He has to go low to block Dale Earnhardt Jr. He keeps it pinned down low. Earnhardt Jr. still riding in second. They're all chasing Michael Waltrip on the super stretch.
Does Earnhardt Jr. have anything left? He's going to try. Waltrip to the bottom, trying to throw on the block. Successful so far. 3 wide behind, halfway down the back straightaway. Waltrip with maybe a 1 car length lead over Earnhardt Jr. to 3.
Michael Waltrip showing the muscle. Everything stacks up from third on back. Dale Earnhardt gets turned sideways.
The sports world lost a star Sunday. NASCAR lost a legend. Dale Earnhardt, arguably the greatest driver in his sports history, died during the running of the Daytona 500. Earnhardt, who 3 years ago won this race, was killed during the final lap when his number 3 car crashed nose first into the wall, traveling close to 180 miles per hour. In an ironic twist, Earnhardt the aggressor became Earnhardt the protector. He spent the final laps trying to ensure that Michael Waltrip, who was driving a car owned by Earnhardt, would win, which he did.
At the Daytona 500 on February 18th, 2001, Earnhardt would be killed in a 3-car crash in the last lap of the race. He would collide with Ken Schrader after making small contact with Sterling Marlin and hitting the wall head-on. Earnhardt's and Schrader's cars would both end up on the infield grass inside of Turn 4. His teammate Michael Waltrip would win the race seconds later, with his son Dale Earnhardt Jr. also on his team coming in second. Although no one knew it at the time, NASCAR's worst event had just occurred, spoiling what should have been a beautiful moment for Earnhardt and his team.
This is undoubtedly one of the toughest announcements that I've ever personally had to make. But after the accident in Turn 4 at the end of the Daytona 500, we've lost Dale Earnhardt.
Earnhardt's death would be confirmed by 5:16 p.m. due to a basilar skull fracture. In the years to come following this event would bring huge changes, primarily in safety, one of which was a new device called the HANDS device, which Dale unfortunately refused to wear for the reasons that it was too restrictive and uncomfortable. Richard Childress Racing, who held the rights to the number 3, would make a promise that the number 3 would never again be on the car, at least not with the GM Goodwrench sponsorship. It would, however, in 2014 return with a new driver by the name of Austin Dillon. As many of us probably know, NASCAR doesn't have the same cult-like following it once had. In recent years, the ratings of NASCAR have been slowly but surely in a decline-like state. Unlike other sports where you can just pick up a ball and pretend to live out the Super Bowl or the NBA playoffs, NASCAR doesn't have that kind of luxury. One can say that recent events affected the NASCAR fan base the hardest, along with the restrictions. When asked about NASCAR today, odds are a person will probably say it's just a bunch of rednecks driving in circles and nothing more. To many others, however, NASCAR would be an escape from the mundane events of everyday today life. A feeling that one can't get anywhere else than from an open road. Dale Earnhardt would make it mean more than that. He would help bring to NASCAR something that no one else could possibly bring, and if he had lived, maybe more would have come. In the end, however, we'll never know that. We'll never know what could have been. He would survive a crash like this, where he'd be injured, but not this. In an interview, Dale once said he thought his father was the best driver in NASCAR, leaving some to wonder if he ever felt he had ever thought he lived up to his dad. An answer he'd take with him.
I think Dale Earnhardt is the best race driver that's ever been in a stock car. How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, that's a big statement. I think my dad was the greatest when it comes to racers.
NASCAR, after Dale's death, knew regardless it had to move on. Even without their man in the black number 3, NASCAR today is nothing more than a shell of its former self, with the odds of reaching such heights again probably being fairly slim. But even knowing this, nothing will stop the true fans of the sport, even the ones who haven't moved on from Dale's death, from watching and going to the races. Realistically, NASCAR probably couldn't have gotten as popular in any other way than when it did. Like in NASCAR, it's all about timing and luck, and NASCAR had both for a time. If it still does, however, is another question. No one can say what fate will become of NASCAR in the years to come. In the end, however, like the sport, hate the sport, or think it's somewhere in the middle, NASCAR couldn't have gotten here to where it is now with no small part without the man in the black number 3, the Intimidator.
Out of his car and listen to this.
Hey again. Now I do regret to inform you that we're coming to the end of our presentation now. But, if nothing else, we hope that this has been nostalgic for you big time fans out there, and for the people in search for knowledge, we hope you did learn something. And most importantly of all, we hope you had fun. So once again, thank you for coming along for the ride, and thank you for watching.